The front door creaked open, barely audible above the hum of the late-night news spilling from the living room. I sat in my usual chair, a glass of whiskey untouched on the table beside me, watching the shadows play across the ceiling. Her heels clicked softly against the floor, hesitant, almost deliberate, as if she were trying not to wake a sleeping beast. "It was 1:37 a.m. You're late," I said, my voice cutting through the silence like a blade. She froze, her hand gripping the edge of the doorframe. I didn't turn to look at her. Not yet. The scent reached me before she spoke, a betrayal in the air. His cologne musky, overpowering, unmistakable. "Work ran late," she lied, her voice unsteady. "Work," I repeated, finally turning to face her. She looked disheveled, her blouse slightly wrinkled, her lipstick smeared at the corners, the small telltale marks of a hurried attempt to erase evidence. My stomach churned, but I kept my expression neutral. "Yeah, a last-minute client meeting," she continued, avoiding my gaze. She dropped her purse on the console table and started to walk past me, but I stood, blocking her path. My height towered over her, and for the first time in years, she looked nervous. "Is that what we're calling it now?" I asked, my tone calm but sharp enough to cut glass. She opened her mouth to respond, but before she could spin another lie, I gestured toward the staircase. "Upstairs," I said. "Your vanity mirror. Go take a look." Her brows furrowed, confusion mingling with fear. She hesitated, but I stepped aside, allowing her passage. I followed closely behind as she ascended the stairs, each step slower than the last. She knew something was waiting for her. When we reached the bedroom, I leaned against the doorframe as she approached the mirror. Taped to the glass were a series of photographs, meticulously arranged in chronological order. They showed her and him, her last-minute client, at a hotel, laughing over dinner, holding hands in the parking lot, locked in a kiss just outside the entrance. The timestamps in the corner of each image told a damning story. Her hand shot to her mouth. Muffling a gasp, she ripped one of the photos from the mirror, staring at it as if she could will it into non-existence. Tears welled in her eyes, but they did nothing for me. "How long?" I demanded, my voice low but steady. She turned to face me, her lips trembling. "It's not what it looks like," she stammered, a pathetic attempt at deflection. "Not what it looks like," I repeated, my voice rising. "You've been sleeping with him for months, haven't you? Don't lie to me. I've got more than just pictures." Her face crumbled and she sank onto the edge of the bed, burying her face in her hands. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered, as if it made any difference. "But it did," I said, stepping closer. "You made a choice, Clara. Every single time you chose to betray me." She sobbed into her hands, but I felt no sympathy. I'd spent weeks piecing together the puzzle, hiring a private investigator after her excuses started piling up, her affections waning. Each revelation had been a dagger to the chest, but tonight, the wound felt strangely numb. I had passed the point of heartbreak. Now I was a man with a plan. "Who is he?" I asked. Her head shot up, her tear-streaked face contorted with panic. "It doesn't matter," she said quickly, shaking her head. "He's no one." I ended it. "It's over." "Who is he?" I repeated, my tone cold and unyielding. She hesitated, then finally whispered his name. "Mark." Of course. Mark, the charming sales representative from her office, always too friendly at company parties, always too quick to make her laugh. My jaw tightened. "Stay here," I ordered, grabbing my keys from the dresser. "Don't you dare leave this house." "What are you going to do?" she asked, panic creeping into her voice. "What I should have done months ago," I said, slamming the bedroom door behind me. Mark's apartment complex was a sterile, cookie-cutter building on the other side of town. I had no trouble finding his unit. A quick call to the PI earlier had provided all the details I needed. I pounded on the door, the sound reverberating through the hallway. It took him a moment to answer. When he did, he was wearing a T-shirt and sweatpants. His hair tousled, as if he had just rolled out of bed. His expression shifted from annoyance to surprise to unease as he recognized me. "Dan," he said, his voice cautious, "what are you doing here?" I didn't bother with pleasantries. Instead, I shoved past him, forcing my way into his apartment. "We need to talk," I said, my voice dripping with menace. He closed the door behind me, his face pale. "Look, if this is about work," or he began, but I cut him off. "It's about Clara," I said, watching the blood drain from his face. "You didn't think I'd find out, did you? You thought you could sneak around with my wife and get away with it." "Dan, he stammered, backing away. "I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you." "Never meant to hurt me?" I repeated, incredulous. "You've been sleeping with my wife, and you have the audacity to say that to my face?" He opened his mouth to respond, but I didn't give him the chance. My fist connected with his jaw, sending him stumbling backward. He crashed into the coffee table, knocking over a lamp. "You destroyed my marriage," I said, standing over him as he groaned in pain. "You think you can just walk away from this without consequences?" "Please," he begged, holding up his hands in surrender. "I'll do anything. Just don't hurt me." I leaned down, grabbing him by the collar. "You're going to call her," I said. "Right now. You're going to tell her it's over. And then you're going to quit your job. I don't want you anywhere near her." He nodded frantically, scrambling for his phone. I watched as he dialed her number, his hands shaking. When she answered, I could hear her muffled voice on the other end. "It's over," he said, his voice trembling. "Don't call me again." He hung up, looking up at me with pleading eyes. "It's done. Please, just go." I released him, stepping back. "If I ever see you again," I said, "you'll regret it." He nodded, too afraid to speak. I turned and walked out, slamming the door behind me. When I returned home, Clara was waiting in the living room, her eyes red and swollen. She looked up at me as I entered, her expression a mix of guilt and desperation. "Dan," she began, but I held up a hand to stop her. "I don't want to hear it," I said. "Pack your things." "You're leaving." Her face crumpled, and she shook her head. "Please," she begged, "we can work through this. I made a mistake, but I love you. I'll do anything to fix this." "You love me?" I said, laughing bitterly. "You don't destroy someone you love. You've already done enough damage. Clara, there's no coming back from this." I turned and walked upstairs, leaving her sobbing in the living room. The next morning, she was gone. Her suitcase was missing, along with a few of her belongings. She left a note on the kitchen counter, but I didn't bother reading it. For the first time in months, the house felt peaceful. I poured myself a cup of coffee, sat at the dining table, and watched the sunlight stream through windows. It wasn't the life I had envisioned, but it was a new beginning, and that was enough.